used to eat a crumble cake. A crumble cake. I like crumble cake, but not so much now. It gets everywhere. Wake up. Wake up. In the night, you can't sleep, can't get it right. All those thoughts, they bruise down in the darkness when you were used as fodder, like it's underwater. 5G on the line was true enough while in time. I can't live like this anymore. I can't take it anymore. I need some peace. I need release. And I can't take this anymore. Because lying on the floor, begging for mercy, begging for mercy. But it's still a crumble cake, love. You see that, right? Still a crumble cake.
Hello, everyone. That is Kelly Rioli, featured on Zep Daniel Original Music. Good afternoon. I am your host, Amelia Duran. This is Porthole to Justice, the window to the truth. And it is February 21st, 2020. And I'm thinking I'm going to call my friend David because I just posted a bunch of new articles that in Social Media News Network about the epidemic in China, the coronavirus. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you folks doing tonight?
Well, it's not nighttime here, but I'm sure it is where you're at.
Man, I'm in ground zero. It's day 22 of 28 days later. I wish I had a better way to describe it, but you know, we're eating it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, you know, when we last spoke, I had mentioned, I don't know if it was to you or it was to my previous guest, that the Daily Mail had I think it was the Daily Mail had, or was it I don't know, it was a CNBC is what it was. CNBC.
Yes.
They had reported that Apple was not going to make their quota because their $76 billion.
$65 billion. They said 65, but I think it might be a little bit more than that.
I thought it was 67, but okay. Yeah.
It probably is.
So, and then, you know, I read this article that you sent me about China setting up disinformation sites on Twitter to combat, you know, fake media. So, of course, I want to hear your take on this.
Well, first of all, I think everyone needs to understand four major things. Right now, what you're seeing under the strain of the, how shall I phrase this? The the China debacle, right? The China debacle. I don't even want to call it that other name because I don't want to take the focus off of who's responsible. What you're seeing is all of the people who are directly in bed with the Communist Chinese governmental party, and they're not even a government. They're showing you we're not a government. They're more of a gang. They function just like a mafia. I mean, they are the triad. Let's just be honest. They're the triad. Let's stop playing games. We've heard it through other conspiracy networks and even a few other mainstream networks that it's basically a mafia, but it's the Chinese mafia. And I don't even think they're the Chinese mafia in the way that we think of Chinese people, but I want to stay focused. So what we're learning is that all these people are compromised.
We're not talking about the Chinese citizens or the regular
No, not at all. Not even, no. I'm talking about the top of their bureaucracy, like all the members who have to go to the big party meetings where everyone's in their 80s and they still have black hair because they dye it. Like, I'm talking about those guys. But
I'm sorry.
I mean, no, I'm saying that because every time you get busted by the party and, you're no longer in and your Guangzhou is no longer, good enough to keep you out of trouble, you see them in court 3 months later and, it's obvious that, someone has washed the dye out of their hair and they've all got gray hair now. Or white hair, or salt and pepper, So I knew personally, and I'll get back to the other points, that the CCP was in the middle, or at least Xi Jinping was in the middle of 3 stealth civil wars. He had 2 that were going on internally with Zhou Kong's, I'm saying his name wrong, but Zhou Kong's people and their previous regime, and then he had an issue going on with some of the people who were coming up, on the sidelines, taking side bets. They were at war with them. And then he also had an issue going on that was a collective civil war between Taiwan and Hong Kong. But the reality of the matter is that I don't even know if you can call those last 2 a collective civil war, because it's like they're totally different, or they're totally different entities. And no matter how much they, try to impress upon you, through ridiculous means that they are part of China, they are definitely not. But I digress, getting back to the point. So what we're learning is that all of these people have been co-opted. And the demonstration of that is how they're all willing to lie to you about the same numbers. Because if you notice how America's no longer quoting China's numbers, the only people in America, meaning the White House is not, they're not repeating China's numbers. In fact, they're openly coming out from at least the Republican Party, and they're saying, hey, listen, we think this is a bioweapon. Is it a bioweapon? We want to know. And then when Maria Buttaromo interviewed the Chinese diplomat, or at least the secretary, their version of the Secretary of State, had to come on her show, Maria Buttaromo's show, and they talked about it. He gave this sort of very peculiar veiled threat, and if you don't know how to read between, like when someone in Chinese government wants you to just kind of leave something alone, and then there's almost like a sharp, sticky statement like, oh, don't push too hard, there might be a needle in there. That kind of, dialogue. I don't even want to bother paraphrasing what he said, but he definitely let her know that that's a dangerous thing to say. You shouldn't, you know what I mean? He gave her that. Now I'm paraphrasing, but he basically let her know, like, hey, you guys should stop saying that. We've got all your private information, but I digress, moving along. So that's what you're looking at with that. And then on the other side of that fourth thing about at least number 3, what you're seeing is how all these companies who basically are depending on Americans to continue buying China's numbers because of the fact that, so now you have China, threatening people, and now they're showing you how, they even, like, what was it, Kuala Lumpur, I think it was Kuala Lumpur recently, who just got openly threatened by the Chinese diplomat to Kuala Lumpur. In fact, I think I can read his statement to you. I sent it to you in a photo. I sure did. Let's see, I'm going to pull that up real quick. He says something to the effect of, where's that at? It's, I'm not able to, it's probably any other one. Just give me a moment. Yep, sure is. All right, let's see. Well, on a side note, before I even touch this, I want to say this. So all of these new social media sites coming out, and Google through YouTube has already let you know that Google is not so much Google, but definitely Alphabet as a whole, but definitely YouTube is already in lockstep. So anytime you look up a video that's even remotely related to China or disease or anything, and pretty much almost every video you look up now, they all have that little WHO, World Health Organization, tag next to them, and they've already been bought to the tune of billions, maybe even 100 millions by the Chinese. I'm not saying that backwards. I'm not having a Freudian slip. I'm saying they gave them billions, but it was might have only been hundreds of millions.
That they were experiencing. Okay, we know they've quarantined over a third of the Chinese population. A third of their population. Okay. But furthermore, we know also, we're aware that the crematoriums have been backlogged. And I think it was last night I had posted an article in Social Media News Network about the more mobile crematoriums or mobile transports for crematoriums that were...
No, I want to say this before you finish the statement. I apologize for cutting you off, but while we may not have seen any video, I can personally. Here's my thing. I know you and I know me, and I don't repeat anything I have not looked at or that I personally cannot verify through multiple demonstrations. Fortunately, I'm an avid China watcher just because I just am, because it's a part. I mean, I watch everybody. I watch everybody's government.
This was reported by InfoWars. So obviously,
I'm sorry. I just want to finish it. So,
okay.
So this is just for the audience. So what I'm saying is that plenty of people are going to pop up and say, "Oh, that's not real." It's like, listen. You're allowed to believe whatever you want, but until you've actually gone and exhausted, the burden of proof is on you to prove me wrong, but I have never opened my mouth and told anyone anything that wasn't happening, didn't happen, or was not about to happen. That's just it. I have nothing to get, I'm not getting paid to be here, folks. I was not paid to be on this show. I'm here because this person is my friend. And this is a great outlet.
And respectfully, this is a zero-based project, and I feel inclined. I feel inclined as because I have this platform and I'm able to speak freely, and I know that the Chinese people are being heavily censored, and I feel inclined to get the truth out there because I think it's
and brutally censored. People, if you in China, you speak out now, you're dead. That's just it. And they're using the virus to kill people. Because every time someone goes up missing, they say, they contracted Wuhan and died. Really? Anyway, I digress. But I just wanted to say that before you say anything else. I apologize for interrupting you. We're talking about the crematoriums. They're legit. But here's the crazy part about the crematoriums. We've only been hearing about the mobile crematorium, the crematorium in Wuhan. We've only been hearing about the mobile crematoriums in Wuhan. We haven't heard anything about the crematoriums in all the other places. And now that just today, a little over 500 people at the prison camps contracted the virus itself. So now we have to mentally start processing. Okay, so all these other territories with different ethnicities that the Chinese have, forced their brutal authority on are now subject. So it's like, okay, is Tibet safe? Okay, is the Mongolian territories safe and the Gobi areas, right? Is correct me if I'm wrong. Like Gobi's in China. Please tell me Please tell me I'm right, because I'm thinking about the Yucatan Flats down in South America. But if I'm correct, in the Gobi Desert, are the Mongolians who are in those plain areas and whatnot, are they safe? And I'm only saying this situation where I saw a report about it and tried to find it, and again, shame on me, because I'm pretty much at a point now. Anytime I see a headline, I do a quick read into the article and immediately save it. I immediately save the link, just because I can still probably find it if the link's there. Somebody will pull it up.